Let's queer up religion. Pope welcomes LGBTQ plus to church, but says rules must be followed.
The church is open to everyone. Then there are rules that regulate life within the church, and someone who is inside and follows the rules cannot administer sacraments. This to say it in a simplified way, like you said. This does not mean it is closed. Everyone meets God in their own way within the church, and the church is mother, and it guides everyone in their own way.
The church teaches that same-sex attraction is not sinful, but same-sex acts are. Since the start of his papacy, the 86-year-old Pope has faced a delicate balance between appealing to more liberal believers without upsetting conservatives, including giving more high-ranking roles to women, who the church teaches cannot become priests because Jesus chose only men as his apostles. While he supports legislation that gives some same-sex couples rights in areas like pensions, he has stopped short of changing teachings that urge chastity for those with same-sex attraction. Francis's comments came as he took questions during his customary freewheeling post-trip press conference as he flew back to Rome from the Youth Festival in Portugal.
The Pope has said the Catholic Church is open to all, including LGBTQ plus people, but said some rules must be followed. Speaking with reporters on Sunday, August 6th, during a return flight from Lisbon to Rome following the World Youth Day Catholic Festival, 86-year-old Pope Francis was quizzed on whether the church is truly open to everyone. During the festival, the pontiff had said the church was open to everyone, a message asked by a reporter as possibly inconsistent with the statement as women and gay people are barred from certain sacraments. Women are not allowed to become priests, and same-sex couples are not permitted to marry in the Catholic Church. Pope said, quote, "There are laws that regulate life inside the church. According to the legislation, they cannot partake in some sacraments," end quote. According to Reuters, Pope Francis added that ministers in the church must accompany all people, including those not conforming to the rules of the religious organization, with the patience and love of a mother. In his 10 years as leader of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis has sought to move the institution forward and create a more welcoming environment for groups traditionally excluded, particularly LGBTQ plus people. He has made reaching out to the LGBTQ plus community a key tenet of his papacy. However, the pontiff has had to strike a fine balance by appeasing both liberal and conservative members of the church and not rocking the boat too much. I mean, I give him credit that over the years, in his 10 years as the Pope, that he has brought up and has allowed LGBTQ plus issues to come up, and he's taken a more liberal stance. But I also know that he's under a lot of pressure from a very conservative majority of the Catholic Church that does not agree to allowing LGBTQ plus or women into the church in the way that we would all like to see it. So, yeah.
It makes you wonder if he's just trying to play to the masses.
And what do you think? Is he?
I think he's trying to follow what he thinks is morally right while also trying to follow what he thinks is Jesus would think is right.
Mm.
And I also think it's one thing to say that, but when people start attending church, is it inclusive? Are they being looked at? Are they being stared at? Or is the rest of the congregation apt to have LGBTQ plus people be there?
You know, the answer to that is no. Yes. There's fewer Catholics today than there were 5 years ago. There were fewer Catholics 5 years ago than there were 10 years before that. This is a continual move of what is happening in an overall, I won't say rejection of faith. I'm a person of faith. I'm not rejecting my faith. I'm rejecting the organizational structure that I don't agree with. And that's what's happening. Any particular thoughts about the Pope?
No, I'm not
like
religious.
He's got a nice hat.
Yeah, he has a very
got a nice hat. Yeah, he is the most progressive, but I'm not. I don't.
You're not a big fan. You know, there are two things in this story that I think are really interesting. The Pope is code signaling over and over again. I've been talking about this. I'm hearing him. I'm hearing the Pope send all of these secret Illuminati messages out about what he thinks about LGBT and embracement changes. And we need to follow in the path of the love of a mother. We have reported at Queer News Tonight so many times in family rejections of the coming out experience that overwhelmingly the first family member that embraces is the mother. Even if she is shocked about their child being LGBT or trans, etc., the mother is the first in the family structure to generally embrace their LGBT child. And the Pope is saying the same thing. We should do what a mother does in family, which is to embrace. It's code signaling.
Yeah.
But
to Evan's
wondering
point,
where he got that information from.
Yeah. Okay.
but to Evan's point, it's great to say it. But you need to have something change, and we really haven't seen anything change other than his words. He's not pushing anyone within the church to actually make real change when it comes down to the local community. And if they're losing people because of the way they're speaking and not including them in the organization, at some point something has to give. And losing members, they've got their own.
And the same is true for the Southern Baptist Convention. The same is true for Methodists. The same is, we could go on and on. The other thing that I think of that's really interesting about the Pope is I think about the famous Whoopi Goldberg line in Ghost, "Girl, you in danger," because the Pope has this Illuminati
Don't ever
behind
do
him.
that again.
Has this Illuminati.
You in danger, girl.
Yeah, that's it. You did it much better than I did. He's got this radical conservative in the church and the hierarchy around him going, okay, you're our Pope, but we could knock you off at any moment.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And he can only do so much. And when you consider that, overwhelming majorities of the American Catholic community, for example, embrace the LGBTQ community. The overwhelming majority of Catholics in America support LGBT marriage, for example, as one issue.
But who's in charge? Old white men.
That's the thing.
It's just like
if you're going to have
U.S. Senate or anything.
Your old popes and cardinals and bishops, this is what you're going to get. And is it like any other structure in America? Oh yeah, radical GOP.
Right.
Isn't it the same thing? They're making decisions on women's health care, on LGBT, on trans rights that are not popular even in the GOP. But this Illuminati that's controlling the structure.
And I would say it's more than just the GOP, because we've got all these older people still in power. I can't think of her name right now. Who's the one in California right now?
Nancy Pelosi?
No. The one who's still in
Done.
office but doesn't know who she is.
Oh, yeah, the senator. It
senator.
catches me by surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it time to give it up. Let somebody else in with some youth and vigor, and you had your moment in the sun.
I'm on the way.
Evan, you ever thought about being the Pope?
Oh, goodness me.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.